On Saturday, night one of WrestleMania 41, Seth Rollins teamed with Paul Heyman. On Monday, the Raw after Mania, Bron Breakker joined this new heel faction. Who else could be joining them in the new dangerous alliance? Well, it just so happens Seth Rollins' real-life wife, Becky Lynch, also turned heel on this show.
And the dangerous alliance had Medusa. You need a woman in the group.
It's 2025. You need a woman in the group. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD. Welcome to this Raw After Mania review edition of the WrestleTalk podcast. If you haven't already, please press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, leave a comment down below with what you thought of this episode, and send in your chat gables to WrestleTalk.com/support. Going through a tunnel. Everybody. Every single one over $5 before the end of the show. But to open this episode, we are reviewing the main event segment with just 14 minutes left of a longer than usual broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it clocks in at about 2.5 hours on the on-demand version.
Yeah.
And this was about 2 hours 55.
Yeah, it went basically 3 hours.
It was a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Really. And Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman were shown at the start of the show arriving in their car. We knew they were going to do a promo. It got the main event slot. Seth comes out. He is not as different as I would have hoped him to be.
Yeah. So, just to give you a little bit of my vibes on this segment, which I thought was tremendous, I was not into it at the start. I was really not vibing with this segment at the start. You know, I'd had such a really good time. The first hour I didn't think was very good at all. I didn't enjoy the first hour, but then the show once Io Sky came out and they did the Stephanie Vaquer stuff, I thought the show was like off to the races and had like this. I was having a wonderful time with the show. Proper like Raw after Mania. I was really having a good time. And then when Seth came out and it was the same Seth Rollins, I was like, oh, this was like a really good opportunity for a reset point for him. And it's just the same old Seth. And then he does his heel delivery, which is just the same heel delivery that John Cena's doing, which is just, well, I'm doing all of the same catchphrases, but now I'm doing it slower because I'm a bad guy. And I was like, oh. And then Punk came out. And I was talking to editor Adam Whitney about this. He's like, did you groan when Punk came out? Because I'm just sick of seeing them fight. Yeah. And I was like, honestly, yeah, a little bit. I was like, oh man, I'm sick of these two feuding. They've been feuding since November 2023. And then actually, because then the graphic came up, the little corner graphic, I was like, man, they're out of time. Like, this is just it.
Paul Heyman hadn't even spoken yet.
Yeah, I was like, this is just it. Like, what a weird end to the show.
I didn't believe the little corner logo.
Well, the thing is, I didn't believe the corner promo when the John Cena match happened at WrestleMania Night 2, because I was like, surely there's more to this than that.
That was done for a reason, to make you think this one was going to end early.
And it completely worked because this segment kicked up a gear, and I thought it was so great, and it made me not only really excited for for Bron and this Seth act and this Paul Heyman group, it actually has reignited my interest in Seth and Punk and Seth and Roman. I was actually more into Seth and Roman than I was Seth versus Punk, but it's reignited my passion and my interest in Seth and Punk.
Yeah, the Bron flavor has added a whole new taste to the recipe, hasn't it? Yeah. So what happened is Punk comes down. Seth and Paul really don't say much at all because Punk comes down right away. He's taping up his fists. He beats up Seth for a bit, goes for Heyman, but Seth stomps him. Then Paul Heyman declares Seth the #1 top star in this industry.
Love that.
And the crowd are chanting for Roman Reigns. And I thought,
that same thing.
Idiots.
Come on, lads.
It's after Mania.
Yeah.
We're not going to see him until SummerSlam.
I was going to say.
And then Roman's music hit.
Yeah.
I was like, that is a bigger surprise than Becky turning heel, Rusev,
JD McDonough.
All of those combined.
Yeah. It's like a full-time member of the roster at this point.
It feels weird. Is he okay? Is he doing okay for money?
He's not getting any film roles, I guess.
And he comes down and Roman beats up Seth and then hits a Superman punch on Heyman.
Loved that.
I mean, I do love it, but Heyman was up a minute afterwards.
Yeah, to get hit by the spear.
Yes, but But if Paul's getting a Superman punch, I think he should be knocked out on the floor.
He's not.
It's nitpicking.
He's not a referee.
He's Paul Heyman.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Roman Reigns' signature move.
Yeah, and he was like,
it wasn't a shove to the ground.
He was got up and he was just selling because he was going to turn around and get hit by the spear.
Well, is what it is. So Roman gets up and he's going to spear Heyman, but this hooded guy gets in the ring. And
it's not Jimmy Uso.
It's the exact same black hoodie that Roman has used over and over again with, hey, it's Jimmy Uso turning heel. Hey, it's Solo Sikoa costing Drew McIntyre. But it wasn't. This person speared Roman and then reveals themselves as Bron Breakker.
So when Roman came out, I was like, oh, they're going to introduce a new member to this group.
Oh, did you?
And I was like, it's going to be Jeff Cobb.
Ah.
And in my head, I was just like, oh, it's Jeff Cobb. Bron's such a more interesting choice. And it kind of pays back because Bron had that segment with Paul Heyman like 2.5 years ago on NXT. And he has always been like number one. And when people was like, who else could be a Paul Heyman guy? I'd be like, Bron Breakker would be an awesome Paul Heyman guy. And what I love, this is elevating someone. Sure, Jeff Cobb would have been cool, but this is taking someone from the mid card and elevating them into the main event scene. And that is what Raw After Mania should do. It should be a reset point. It should be, here is your next chapter of storylines. And I love it. I think it's such a great choice.
Well, Luke and I just recorded our predictions for WrestleMania 52. Yeah, you heard that right. 52. 11 years in the future. Patreon.com/WrestleTalk on Friday for that. Which means I've got quite obsessed with ages to work out who is around for the card a decade plus in advance. And Jeff Cobb, he's 43 now.
Yeah.
If that was his role, if it was Rusev, these are people who have already had their shot, really, and time has kind of passed on.
A little bit, yeah.
However, with Bron Breakker, the guy's 28.
It's nuts.
And, if you look at the main event scene right now, Punk, Roman, Drew, Cena, you're talking late 30s to 50 years old.
Yeah.
That's sort of what a main event guy in WWE has been for a very long time. But Bron Breakker being inserted into this faction, immediately working as a top star against Roman and Punk, coming off the Intercontinental title run as well. You instantly forget he lost that belt just the previous night because, boom, he is totally reset here in a level of threat. And next year's WrestleMania, I've got one idea where it could be Seth versus Bron for the World Heavyweight Championship. That means a guy who's 29 years old could be in a title match at Mania.
I love it.
That is unheard of under the Vince years.
I love it. It's such an inspired choice to put Bron into this act. And I kind of was on this train. I thought this was just going to be a Seth and Paul thing. This is just Seth Rollins is managed by Paul Heyman. And I was like, the faction idea just wasn't really in my sort of my vision for this. But I love the idea that we are getting a new dangerous alliance. And the way that I've seen some other people talk about it.
Oh, not a Monday Night Messiah. I said this is a Messiah. It's bringing back that great faction from the pandemic everyone loved.
It's all Heyman.
Yeah.
So it's Heyman is the driving force here. They even said he's the new Paul Heyman guy. So I think a dangerous alliance should be the template for this. But with Triple H in charge, you can also look at Evolution as the template. And the whole point of Evolution and why Evolution was such a successful faction is that you had the vets in Ric Flair and Triple H using their star power to get over two newer guys. So if you have Seth and Paul as the two vets of this group, and you're using this to elevate a Bron Breakker into that Batista level guy where you can do the thumbs up, thumbs down stuff, that leaves a spot open for more people to be added to this group. If it's Dangerous Alliance, Dangerous Alliance had 20 people in that faction. So you can add loads of people because it's spanned across multiple things. And the reason why I like the Dangerous Alliance idea is that you could have a NXT version of it, a version of it in AAA, a version of it in TNA.
You want a Bullet Club Heyman guys.
Well, Dangerous Alliance spread across multiple different companies. But yeah, I like the Evolution side of it as well, of just using this to get new guys into that main event scene. Because this is what we wanted from Bron when he first dropped the IC title to Jay last summer. We were like, great, move him out of the IC picture. If you're going to take the belt off him, elevate him into that main event scene. And he even had like a thing with Gunther where like, this is it. They're going to do Bron and Gunther, which they never did. They just put him straight back into the IC picture. Great. Now he's in the main event scene. This is exactly where Bron should be.
I think this is probably setting up in the immediate term. It's Bron and Seth versus Roman and Punk.
Yeah.
The idea of Roman and Punk having to work together at Backlash.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That's a great story right there. I feel like in that bit, that's where you introduce another member. They cost Punk and Roman the match.
Yeah.
And then by the time we get to War Games, Survivor Series, in the baseball thing, whatever it is, it would be negligent to not book the Dangerous Alliance in a War Games match.
Absolutely.
Seeing that they had some of the greatest War Games matches of all time in the early 90s. So that means you sort of need 4, 5 male members. I'd love to see, one female in the act. We'll talk about Becky Lynch in a second. But I don't realistically think WWE are ever going to book that in that step.
No, it's not going to be an intergender War Games match.
So you've got Bron, you've got Seth. Are there what 2 other people could you add?
So I don't want to give any spoilers away for my video that's coming out.
Oh God, you're gonna go for those ones.
Yeah, so we've got a video coming out this Friday where we are trying to predict WrestleMania 42 way too far in advance. And in my Dangerous Alliance, I have added the Street Profits as that's the tag team, because you need a tag team within this faction. So I added the Street Profits into my group. I won't say who the other guy that I added in as well, because that's save that. That's a hook. That's a hook and tease for you to watch the video this Friday.
I said it on the Mania Night 1 review podcast, where I really like the idea of Seth getting his own bloodline.
Yeah.
So all this stuff that Roman's been lording over people for years, try and beat me, because you've got about 8 guys who are members of my family to beat first. Seth can now do the exact same thing and flip it back on Roman.
Yeah.
And if he goes against Jay, that's what we sort of predicted, that Seth could be going for Jay right away. You even wanted him to beat Jay
on the
for the World Heavyweight title immediately.
Well, I mean, if anything, this again is really midifying the World Heavyweight Championship scene, which is at this point is Jay, Sammy, and Jimmy Uso. And now all of the top main stars, literally, that's the gimmick. They are the top stars. Are nowhere near this world title scene. We need to elevate this title back up something fierce.
Well, they will. Money in the Bank or SummerSlam when Seth beats Jay.
Yeah.
To do that, yeah. But yeah, I guess we're not getting that for the immediate time.
Yeah.
So this idea that someone else could join, and that is Becky Lynch. Earlier in the show, you had Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria take on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. This was a WrestleMania rematch that just won the women's tag belts the night before in a quite disappointing match, but it had the big pop and moment of Becky's return. And here, Judgment Day won them right back.
Yep.
It was a better match.
Much better match.
And Liv sort of got the surprise win on Lyra. I thought they gave Lyra a lot, but she, the numbers just overwhelmed her in the end. It was kind of Becky getting knocked over outside the ring that really cost them.
Yeah.
And Judgment Day win the titles back. 1 day reign. It's like the shortest reign in the women's tag belts history. And Becky hugs Lyra afterwards and then clotheslines her and turns heel so effectively the crowd chanted one more time.
I think Becky made such an error in when they were chanting one more time, giving the fans what they wanted and doing it one more time, because she was getting cheered doing this beatdown. And then when they start chanting one more time, if you then walk away from that, the crowd are going to boo you because you didn't give them what they wanted.
Get back in. No, start to walk away. Then go, all right. Go back in, pick her up, drop her to the floor, walk away. Boo.
Because this did not get the desired reaction I think they wanted to. Although it's probably the reaction they would expect, because it's the Raw After Mania crowd. It's that traveling European crowd who are often going to cheer their heels, boo the baby faces.
Can I push back on that a little bit? Because I think that traveling crowd, yes, they are more inclined to do that. But if you give them a reason to get invested in characters and storylines, they will be so into that. They will be more into that than your casual fans.
True.
Because they love stories being told well. And what we have here with Becky and Lyra and the women's tag belts and Bayley is a story that isn't even a story. It's just a sequence of here's some things that happen.
It's moments.
It's moments.
That's all. It's all it
high
was.
spots.
Yeah. All of Becky's return was a WrestleMania moment.
So what? Why would people go, "Boo, you're bad, Becky"?
Well, so I think they would have expected her to be cheered by this traveling crowd because it's a moment and the crowds tend to just cheer for the moment. Plus, you're right, it's not a compelling storyline, so they're not going to play along with it and give them the response that the script wants them to give. But that's then down to Becky to make the crowd boo her. And that's the point I was making, is that if you know you're going to get cheered, then do something that will make the crowd boo you. And she didn't do it. What she opted to do instead, she might as well got a bloody table out. So she was got the crowd for the crowd to cheer her. But yeah, I don't think it was particularly effective in terms of the crowd reaction.
So yeah, watch it play out. We watched it play out now. Bayley was written off for kayfabe reasons. Becky made a return, and the next night she dropped the titles and turned heel. I think this is utterly pointless.
You may as well have just done the heel turn at WrestleMania and had a double moment.
Yeah. After she just won the tag belt?
Just immediately go in there and be like, look like you're going to tag with her, give her the manhandle slam and walk away, and Liv and Raquel can just crawl into the cover. It's not like it would have been a worse match, because it wasn't a good match anyway.
What was the finish of SummerSlam? Is it 2022? And
when
Bianca
Becky
retains and Becky just walks out.
Pins her in like seconds.
Yeah. It's like, it feels kind of similar to that.
Yeah.
In not being thought out and just Becky spots. I think that I do think this is why people turn against Becky sometimes.
I agree.
Because her creative pretty crappy
oftentimes, yeah.
And like, we can't blame Vince now. This isn't Vince going for Charlotte over her.
And no one likes to blame Triple H.
Yeah, she's the top star in the country.
Yeah.
In the company.
But do you think that she will join this Dangerous Alliance? What role will she have in this Dangerous Alliance, I suppose, would be the other question.
Well, it should be she'll win the Women's Championship, gives them more gold, and they'll be like, not only a Dangerous Alliance, you've got a two-person power trip, like the power couple in Seth and Becky.
She's the
Triple H loves doing stuff from when he was successful, so
that's true.
You do the Hunter and Stephanie McMahon.
You can always push her as well as like the first Paul Heyman girl.
Yeah. And she is called the Man. I said this the other day. She can be the Heyman.
If you were to, so we're talking about like Bron being like leveled up the card this way. Is there anyone else? Because like, if I was to, put a name out there, and I haven't got a name to put out there, by the way, but if I was to say, I would pick someone from NXT and use this
totally new face.
Exactly, yeah. Because like, if you're using, another a Triple H created faction, you're looking at the Shield as the template. I am being facetious, but that was calling 3 guys up from NXT to create 3 new stars. So you can use the Dangerous Alliance to bring up someone from NXT and be part of this group and immediately just be surrounded by Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, Becky Lynch, and this rising Bron Breakker.
Well, you've got Seth, you could have Becky, you've got the big muscle speed guy in Bron. So you probably want a cruiser to add a new flavor to it. Siobhan Evans, probably too young.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, it's a hell of a call up for him. One of the names that I have seen, I don't know if the live chat have said it, but I think Stephen Larson certainly suggested it. But Ethan Page.
Yeah, wow, that would be good. Great on the mic. I don't know if the faction needs him. I also don't think if, like, how old's Ethan Page? 35, probably?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I'm so obsessed with ages now.
But also, you've got to remember, 35 is not like an old age at this point. That's still like a young guy.
I think you want to be building guys in their 20s, in their mid-20s, to really get them over. Seth's 39. Yeah, 39 right now. But yeah, overall, a really, really hot end to the show.
Really
and exactly what WWE needed after a terrible end to WrestleMania. I think... WWE can do wrestling very well, but it's not what they're best at. They are best at storylines, angles, soap opera drama. And the last 2 hours of this Raw after Mania was them hitting home runs
It was.
in those criteria. There was no wrestling of note on this episode. You can say, oh yeah, the tag match was all right.
Io and Stephanie were having a great match until the very predictable finish came in.
Yeah, but I never got the final third of that match. They were having a great first 2/3 of a match and then a crappy finish.
Yeah.
So I write that off.
That's fair.
This was a show with no wrestling.
So it's interesting because Stephen Larson also made this point, and I hate to just parrot what like they have said on their very, very good show, but Larson made the point of that WrestleMania is a show that is designed for casual audiences. It's not really made for wrestling fans. That's why there's all the celebrity and like integration within there. It's why it's relatively short matches that kind of feel sort of inconsequential. But Raw After Mania is for the sickos. It's for wrestling fans, and this show felt like it was designed for those wrestling fans in WWE who want to see the next big storyline of thing. Got zero interest in a Travis Scott. I've got zero interest in a Dude Wipes match, but they are interested in seeing big angles, big promos, big returns, big surprises. And I think it overall did deliver on all of that. I didn't love the first hour of this show, but even in that, it gave you the big moments, the big returns, and the big surprises.
Let's see what everyone thinks on the chat gables, wrestletalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one that comes in there over $5. Eric13 writes, love the Ram, especially since Rollins has always been my favourite, and I love heel Rollins. I would have preferred, though, if Lyra reluctantly joined Becky, and for both of them to join the Rollins. So at the WrestleMania 42, both her and Bron could dethrone Seth and Becky. I think that's too much.
I think that's too much, yeah. I think if you had turned if you turned Becky heel on Lyra, and then Lyra at the end of the show also turns heel and then joins the grid, that might be sort of a hat upon a hat. But heel Rollins is way more interesting than babyface Rollins. But I cannot stress this enough. He's supposed to be a top heel. Don't give him a theme song that people like to sing along with.
I am Team Ollie, my GM. Sorry, Luke. That's someone's name right there.
You should be.
Here's the Wolfgang. Hyped for the Seth faction. Keen to see if Drew fits into this group. If they had a woman, I'd like to see them not go with the obvious Becky choice and add Charlotte instead, as I think she needs it, and she would fit the savior of wrestling gimmick better.
I think it works for Becky as a heel.
Yeah, definitely.
This division needs me.
Anonymous Guy 92. Rollins is Triple H, Heyman is Flair, Bron is Batista. Evolution 2025 is looking good. The pay-per-view? So, do you guys think they will add a fourth man? If so, who do you think it will be? Personally, I think Austin Theory.
I actually forgot Austin Theory was part of this roster.
Yeah. Well, you've got your pick. You've said Street Profits, and there's someone else in the this Friday's video. I don't know.
I saw someone in the live chat say Bronson Reed, which I like.
Yeah. Meta Skipper, potential story beat. Becky says she came back at Mania for Lyra. She attacked Bayley for Lyra, and she was all ready to fold Lyra into Seth's future of the business faction, but Lyra threw it all away when they lost, and Becky is so disappointed in her.
Becky did look like disappointed that Lyra got pinned. It was like, have I taught you nothing in our 24-hour tag team?
Yeah, I see all of that stuff, Meta Skipper. I don't believe it because there's no substance there right now. Morlam writes, why should Seth reset his character? If the crowd rejected him or stopped singing his song, that'd be valid, but you guys seem to think he should change up something that's gotten him over, and they're still getting reactions because you personally don't like it.
Or that's actually the opposite of the reason. It's because people do like it. If you're a heel and you want the crowd to boo you, don't give them something they like to do and cheer along with. The crowd, and it happened in this segment, the crowd were cheering along with his entrance. They was chanting along his song during his promo. They were chanting for him in this segment. You need to give people a reason to not do that.
Yeah, Morlan, I think we're right in both things. So what Luke said, and also, yeah, I also don't like it. I think it's naff. Alex Pyrrhus. Hey guys, this is my Heyman faction and I want your thoughts. 1. Seth Rollins. 2. Bron Breakker. 3. Becky Lynch. 4. Mariah May when her contract expires as the protege of Becky. And 5. Nathan Frazier as the protege of Seth. Thoughts?
Nathan Frazier's a great shout.
I don't think so. I think I cannot imagine him ever not being a babyface.
Talking about, have you seen Fraxium? Yeah.
Look at they're lovable. I don't think he fits with this act. Although, I was saying a high flyer guy would be much better. Mariah May, she shouldn't be doing the protege thing again.
No,
if she comes in, she's a star. She doesn't need to do what she did with Toni Storm. Unzio, my idea about Seth being the same is he isn't a heel. Not for me, at least. He says a lot of things that some people, including me, agree with. While I agree he needs something refreshing, I also like the idea of him acting like nothing changed.
Yeah, him acting like nothing has changed, I agree with. But I don't want to just belate the point, but he needs to not have a song that people like to sing.
Akon22, I love this segment. I was watching it with my girlfriend and I went nuts when it was Bron and my girlfriend wanted to kill me because she thought someone died. But I think the next best guy to join this group is Austin Theory.
The second person.
Well, as they point out, because of his relationship with Seth.
What relationship with Seth?
That was the Monday Night Messiah gimmick, right?
I thought it was Buddy Matthews. Was Austin Theory in that group?
Austin Theory in that? I think Brandon Virk was for a week.
I only remember. Was he part? I only remember Buddy Matthews and AOP being in that faction. Was Austin Theory there as well?
I think Theory was there for a time. Surely the chat knows. I keep an eye out. Lawrence.
Apparently he had a Buddy and Theory. God, I do not recall that at all.
Lawrence Cian, 2004. Love this episode. My dangerous alliance is Seth, Bron, Ethan Page, or Carmelo Hayes is a good shout.
That's a great shout. And
that's a really good shout.
Also, it gets him away from The Miz. And that is just dragging him down.
Street Profits or Los Garza, Becky or Julia?
Julia I'm not so hot on. I think she's better on her own.
Carmelo Hayes and, Bronson Reed to an extent. Those are the names that have excited me the most.
Yeah.
Texas Goose. Theory would benefit the most from joining Heyman and Seth. Fraxium for the tag team with NF.
And
Nathan Frazier and Seth's history. What's their history?
They were probably in the Johnny Gargano's little faction or something.
Becky's turn is only a moment if you forget about the history with Lyra on NXT, the mentorship and the friendship, and look at it in a vacuum. Yeah, but I mean, maybe there'll be a great video package, but this has not been a good story for main roster viewers.
No, and also you can tell that story over a longer period of time. When I saw the title change go back, I was like, "Oh, right, so it's just for the moment then." Like, this is not for actual storyline reason. This was just to get a WrestleMania moment, and that again goes back to that. Mania is just there for the casuals. It's just there for the moments, and the Raw after Mania is when it's like, okay, but this is actually stories we want to tell.
Concrete Entree. What are your thoughts on Nathan Frazier being the next Paul Heyman guy? Well, we've kind of said it. Yeah. I don't see it personally, but seems like a popular choice.
They're saying that someone here said that Seth trained Nathan Frazier.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And JD Blaze for now writes, "Morning, gents. Hope all is well. That Ram episode was honestly refreshing and a joy to watch. Just throwing in my 2 cents. If I were to add a female, I'd go with Mariah May. And as far as a tag team, Swipe Right. They're like a level up team.
Yeah.
They're not even NXT. They're probably too green.
They're probably too low.
But they're very fun. Becky should do her own thing, in my opinion.
I mean, she most likely will do, I think, for the time being. But I really like the idea. When you pitched to me them being like the McMahon-Helmsley regime, I love that as an idea.
And lovely mods have said, just shy of 34 minutes of total wrestling on Raw, according to CageMatch.com.
CageMatch.net. Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right.
CageMatch.net. Fine.
Well, if you send the CageMatch.com, it's not going to give me the right web address.
Please keep getting in your chat gables to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one over $5 and go over to Patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where you can watch loads of exclusive videos like this weekend on Friday. Luke and I will be predicting WrestleMania 52 ludicrously far in advance. But there's more things you can watch on Patreon. Here it is.
It's Viscera!
Do you want more WrestleTalk videos? From $6.50 a month, you can get exclusive series of Monday Night War.
You can imagine a sacrifice being made at the top of this WrestleMania stage.
Tables, lists, and chairs. WrestleTalk Extra, and more.
So I just don't want anyone to get out.
Oh, what's the end of that sentence?
Get all that by joining us over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk now.
Support WrestleTalk.
People love that promo. they say keep playing it.
Yeah.
Play it every video. That's what I've heard.
That's what the streets are saying.
Can I get some pops for the promo?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good promo. It makes us feel like a real streaming service. That promo. Let's get some love for the promo in the comments. It's like when WWE got everyone to chant $9.99 for the network. Not these days with inflation.
Or they made a pop song for the Best of Both Worlds.
The best of both worlds. Right, this episode of Raw play-by-play recap opened with a video package interestingly, on WrestleMania. You know, here's all the things that happened at WrestleMania. But it wasn't really about what happened at WrestleMania. It was about the coverage of what happened at WrestleMania.
They're a big company right now. They're so hot, and people are talking about it. And that's the thing that they're most proud of.
Everyone was shown arriving as normal. And then, just like we had on the European tour, that wonderful 5 seconds of nothing before, like, just holding on the crowd in the arena before John Cena's music hits.
Yeah.
It's really, really well done. I really appreciate that. And he comes out, he's got the WWE title on his ass.
When he had it on backwards, I thought he was going to turn it around and reveal the spinner belts.
That would have been good. He had the same sort of presentation as Mania, so the black screen with John Cena in white text.
So good.
Scott, no Rock. And they wouldn't show up at all.
No.
So I think let's just make our peace and move on.
They've actually got even less dates to appear with now.
Cena gets in the ring, and the ring announcer, it's John Cena, and Cena calls him in like a really. He's not making a big deal of it. It's just one finger, come over here, gives him a little note, and the ring announcer says, "Well, sorry, that first one was disrespectful," and does this huge introduction for John Cena,
which gets him like the biggest babyface reaction because it was a cool thing to do. And again, what I like about that is that knowing that was going to be the reaction, Cena used that as the impetus for the start of his promo, which is like, you guys are the worst. And you're everything that I said that you were. You were bullying me on Friday, yet you were cheering me on Sunday. You're cheering me again now. You were booing Cody Rhodes on Friday, and you were cheering for him then, and then you're booing him again now. You're booing him now. You don't know what you want.
And then he went one further. Like this one cut deep. He went, "Oh, is this the Raw After Mania crowd?
Yeah. This is to show you hijack, is it?
You guys have got soft."
Yeah.
And I was just like, we have.
Because the Raw After Mania has not been a thing. I've not really felt like a thing for like years now.
WWE just killed it with bad booking over the course of a 10-year period. And he said that, look, you fans don't mean anything to me. I've taken your best shots for the last 20 years. What makes you think that you can break me now? It's just great heel work.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the problem with the Cody match was the fact that The Rock wasn't there. I think Cena as a champion, Cena's character, anytime he's not wrestling, this is top tier stuff, and I love watching it.
And it's why I think people are finding this Rock storyline so frustrating is, why did you sell your soul then? Because the character you're doing here is not this sold your soul character that The Rock set up, which is, again, I cannot believe anyone who would try and tell me to my face this has been the plan all along, because it fundamentally can't be. And that's not through backstage reports. That is me watching the product on TV, because none of it really connects.
It's like, no, they've recast the mum in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, don't tell me it's the same person.
Yeah.
And then I think this is such a genius addition to the storyline. This is the
best bit of this whole thing.
On the white text on the black background on the Trons, John Cena produces the number 36. And he says, 36. That's the number of dates I said at the start of this year that I'm contracted to do. And already this year, I've done the Rumble, I've done Chamber, I did the European Tour, 2 nights of WrestleMania. Every time he says one, it counts down by 1. And we're left with 27. And he's just like, when that number hits 0, the professional wrestling timeline stops.
What I loved about this is, like, 36 appears on the screen, and I first thought, was like, that's not a lot of dates left. Again, that's the starting number. And then he was just like listing off the places that he's been. Boom, and it's counting down and it's counting down. And I'm just watching this being like, oh, this is going way further, and it gets at 27. I was like, that is not a lot of and then he goes to the point, it's like, and these aren't matches. These are appearances. You say I can't wrestle, I don't have to. I can just show up and do this.
I want at least 1 week. He walks out, looks at the screen, it goes down by 1, and he drops the mic and walks
that'd be
down again.
so great.
Just running down the clock. This whole this line that the professional wrestling timeline stops, that really got me excited in a comic book way.
Absolutely.
And I said in the news that I feel like he's talking to James Gunn. I feel like they've got a WhatsApp group and they're like, what do you think about this? Oh yeah, you should do that.
Yeah.
And the way to build tension throughout the year is this literal ticking clock. There is a massive room full of dynamite underneath WWE Universe headquarters, and we know that it's ticking down, and someone has to defuse that, or everything we love is gone.
Yeah, and we know who it is because he said it. It set it up in this promo. You already had your best shot with Cody Rhodes. If that's the best shot, then he has to be the final shot, and he can do it by finally doing what he couldn't do at WrestleMania 41, which is crack him in the head with the world title.
Yeah, growing a pair.
Growing a pair.
But before then, we've got Randy Orton.
Yeah, so, okay, before we get to Randy, the other thing I loved about Cena's promo, that whole, it's the end of the pro wrestling timeline. He even effectively said, this is the end of this WWE championship, which, he's been sort of talking about since before he won the belt. And he's like, winning it was the hardest part. Now it's the easy bit for me. You had your best shot at me in Cody Rhodes, and now you're booing him. You're heartless. But this title that was held by Bruno Sammartino, held by Triple H, held by Stone Cold Steve Austin, held by Roman Reigns for 1,000 days, dies. And I'm taking it home. And then you can crown a new champion and it'll be a whole new timeline, but it won't be as special.
I feel like Cody Rhodes is the obvious one. I don't know, they don't usually run a pay-per-view in December, so maybe it's this epic Netflix special of Raw where you've got to beat him, guys. Someone's got to beat him.
It's the last one. It's his last date, and he walks out and the screen goes from 1 to 0. This is it. This is the last chance to get this done.
I just want to see when the last Monday of the year is. Oh, it's the 29th. That's not as impactful, is it?
But I think he did say that his last date was going to be in December.
Yeah.
And then he tells you, get your cameras out now, because this is the last time you're going to see John Cena in Las Vegas, the real world champion. And then from out of nowhere, Randy Orton appears. John Cena turns around and he goes, OS!
Yeah.
And Randy hits him with the RKO.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
Of course.
Look, we got 27. No one believes that Randy Orton is beating John Cena in 2025. You should absolutely do this feud just once at a PLE in Cena's last year. So, yeah, better to do it right at the start than it's the second to last one. You're like, well, this is just filling time now.
When it's in Randy's hometown as well. It makes the most sense. It's, look, I said this when John Cena first announced he was retiring in 2024. It was like, 2025 is my final year. And someone sent an old chat that was like, do you think he'll do one more match with Randy Orton? And I was like, that's the last thing I want to see is him do a match with him. And like, even more now, having watched him do that match with Cody Rhodes, I want to see an Orton match less than ever before, because I was tired of seeing this match 15 years ago. And I've got to watch it now in 2025. I am dreading this match.
I think the crowd will be up for it. I think it'll be really fun. I think it'll be really fun.
The crowd will be great for this match. The in-ring action will be dog shit. And I am not looking forward to it in the least. This is not my childhood nostalgia. I have got zero attachment to the idea of of John Cena versus Randy Orton. I've got nothing. No love for it whatsoever.
It actually gives me a headache. When I think of John Cena versus Randy Orton from that time, that was a time I didn't like Randy Orton at all, and I didn't like John Cena. I actually really like them both now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it gives me a headache. I've last 24 hours, man. I'm really liking this idea that Cena kills the title.
Yeah, I wouldn't just retires it completely.
Yeah,
they have to have the win. You have to have your end game moments where
you got to have the Infinity War moment first. Is this the Infinity War where Cena wins, or is the actual Thanos snap when Cena kills the belt?
The Infinity War moment is the rest of this year. We're going to be seeing the effects of the snap across this year with like that 5-year gap that's between Infinity War and Endgame that we don't see. We get to watch that play out in real time as WWE becomes this desperate entity that has to win back their title and save professional wrestling.
I'm saying the snap is at the end of the year, though.
I think the snap
Not
happened.
that the snap's just happened.
The snap happened at WrestleMania.
I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm just like, sometimes you look at stories, particularly when you're writing stories at the start, and you're like, oh, this is a really good idea. And you're like, but what's the idea that would be worst for all the characters?
Mm-hmm.
Because, that's generally how you create the most drama and tension. And it's that. It's that Cena wins as the bad guy. Or you could do a bit more near that, like in the last month, he starts to become a good guy, and he's like, please let me retire, and he retires and he vacates. I don't know if that's as interesting. But yeah. Well, we'll see. I like chaos.
For me, we've got the moments. Because Cena won. He beat our hero, and he won this title, and he is now slowly killing professional wrestling. And we've got this doomsday countdown clock, and it's going to have to take a Superman to come in and save the day. And he'll shout "whoa" really loudly, and he'll hit 5 crossroads and hit him with a belt shot, and he'll win that belt and save professional wrestling. The key to now, so apparently Cody's taken some time off for a little while, which I think is
it's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea. We can't miss you if you don't go away. I don't think that there's any concern, because I know there's some people who are like, oh, he got booed on SmackDown, he got booed at WrestleMania. I think that's just, those are edge cases. I think he will come back and he will be beloved again.
After that, the New Day are walking to the ring, and Karrion Kross gives them a nice nod backstage. Thought that was a great callback. New Day get in the ring. We've
skipped over Liv Morgan and Raquel because we've already
talked about that.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
New Day do a little promo about, say thank God for the New Day. They're the tag team champions. Alpha Academy interrupt with Maxine. Doing Minute Maid sponsorship as well in there.
Yeah.
Yep, because that's what the tag division is on Raw. It's how can we get the sponsors happy? And Maxine's like, hey, look, last time you took on the Alpha Academy, they beat you in 60 seconds. That's the Minutemen thing. So you should have a match now. They're about to have a match, but who should return but Rusev?
Yeah. Killing the tag division. Well, no, again, he killed Alpha Academy because, they're job guys. It's not it's a cool return, I guess, in a way, because it's a moment.
I mean, it happened. I can't tell you, apart from Rusev walking out, I can't tell you what was cool about this.
He hit his he did it. He returned. That's all this was there for, is just a moment. I think you could have done a way better version of this, which I'll come on to later. But it's just like
do you not want to do it now? Does it tie into something else?
It does tie into something else, yeah.
Okay.
It's he's back, and I think it's cool. He looks great. He looks like in really good shape. It's just that it's not the most exciting way to bring him back, because he's beating up Alpha Academy. And I guess next week he'll have a match with Akira Tozawa and he'll beat him quickly, and then I'll have a match with Otis and beat him quickly. But is he going for the tag titles? Is he in the tag team division?
I thought it makes the new tag team champions look a bit wank. It made the tag belts themselves look like an afterthought. And to be honest, it makes Rusev coming in his big return thing. What's the first big thing he does? Oh, you're at the Alpha Academy level? It screams Andrade.
Yeah, a little bit. There's people used to say this about Taz. The Attitude Era podcast, in fact, I made this very good point about Taz. He came in at Royal Rumble 2000 and taps out Kurt Angle. And it's awesome. He's just beating Kurt Angle, who was on this undefeated streak. And then on Raw, he's quickly beating the Boss Man, and he's quickly beating Prince Albert, and he's quickly beating these guys. And before you know it, oh no, he's just feuding with them now. These aren't just enhancement guys that he's beating. Now he's just with the enhancement guys, and he's locked in with them.
We're in the clubhouse with the Judgment Day, and they're celebrating because they just won the tag belts as well, and Dom's Intercontinental title. Finn walks in, and everyone's a bit like, oh, awkward, because Dom pinned you, apparently. And Finn said, hey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, which someone pointed out in the comments of the news video today. They're still in Vegas.
And, for all those people who thought that they're going to kick him out of the group and they're going to do a big angle on the Raw after Mania, this is the Judgment Day. He'll be with this group till December.
Io Sky
2026.
Io Sky then came out, said she's the genius of the sky and the women's world champion and all that stuff. And Stephanie Vaquer's music hit.
This is where Raw After Mania kicked in for me.
Yeah.
This is, I would say, this is the moment when I really got into this show.
She said, well, I'm the NXT Women's Champion, and she wants to show Io respect, and she wants to fight the best of the best. And Io's like, well, I'm game for a match. And Pierce comes out, and he's like, well, does everyone else want to see the match?
Well, this actually ties into what we were talking about with Becky, and we were talking about with Seth. This idea of making people boo you because you're a bad guy. Adam Pearce, I thought, quite brilliantly mastered this. You know, the creative sort of he came out to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Are we just going to do this match now? And the crowd boo him because they want to see this match. So then he can go, unless you want to see it now, and the crowd cheer massively because you're giving the fans what they want.
Yeah, and there was a brief moment where there was a risk of it getting taken away.
Absolutely.
It was really good crowd work and laying out how they got to the match. And the match itself was really, really good.
Awesome.
I never I've got to admit, I never really fully invested in it because I just didn't believe there was going to be a finish.
Well, what I loved about this match is that, like you, I never believed there was going to be a finish. Io Sky is the Women's World Champion. Stephanie Vaquer is literally defending her title tonight. So you're not going to pin Io, you're not going to pin Stephanie. But the longer the match went, and because it was given a good amount of time, I did start things like, oh, they might actually do a finish to this. And the second I had that thought, Roxanna Perez appeared and caused the DQ, and I was like, oh, more fool me for believing there was one. Can I just quickly make one point, though, because I did say this on the live reactions, but I wanted to say this on a podcast. I'm really, really glad that Stephanie Vaquer has got her little leg slam with her little face thing into the mat. And the crowd, she posed with it, because it's the traveling crowd, they know NXT. Pop massively for it because they love that move, and it happened at Stand and Deliver. People loved that move. When Alex Shelley used to do that move in TNA, the crowd chanted at him, "That's gay." He would do that move, and then he would pose, and they go, "That was gay. That was gay," because it was 2006. And I like that here, 20 years on, she's doing that move. It's just a traditional wrestling move, and people are like, "That's a cool move."
Yeah, it showed the crowd knew who she was, which is really strong as well. But yeah, as you said, there was a light fight forever chant from the crowd, Spanish fly from Io off the top rope, really good stuff. But then Roxanne Perez comes in out of nowhere, hits Io, it's a DQ. Vaquer's looking confused. I'm like, is there another heel faction getting formed? And then Julia pops up. She attacks Stephanie, and it's Rhea Ripley with a black eye who ran down to save Io Sky, and then she gave back the belt to Io and is like, I'm coming for that. Because Rhea never got pinned at Mania.
Yeah. And I guess Bianca can now just go back to SmackDown to get involved in the Jade Naomi stuff. Yeah,
so Rhea, Io are direction for Backlash, and then I think the NXT thing was just a nice cameo.
It's a Raw After Mania cameo thing. It's exactly what you should be doing on the Raw. And it's the idea being that if a lot of people are tuning in for this, maybe they'll tune in for NXT on Tuesday.
Yeah. Jey Uso got a video package on his whole career next, which was excellent. It was really cool to see that. And then he got a long yeet entrance. I didn't think it was as much. I've seen bigger yeets.
I think it's diminishing returns at this point. I think that the moment on the yeeting thing has passed, and it's not as cool as it once was. But now they put the belt on him, and they've got to sort of so they did it 5 times in this segment, and each time it was getting less and less a reaction. And I pointed this out to you when I was looking at the WWE YouTube numbers they posted up for clips on Raw. The least watched video is Jey Uso doing an entrance. That was under the the tag title stuff. The only thing that had less views, and not by much, was the El Grande Americano video package. It's not as over as it once was.
Sami Zayn came out pretty quickly. Jay didn't really cut much of a promo, apart from, I'm going to be a champion.
He was so gassed when he was doing it, though. I've kind of missed this era of Jey Uso when he does so much of an entrance that he's going, main event is in your city.
Sami Zayn hugged Jay, which was really nice. He says he's missed the last 8 weeks, but he had to come back right here to be the first to look Jay in his eyes and say, I'm proud of you. So really nice stuff. And then Sammy said, let's do another yeet. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Well, another skip.
But they start celebrating. Sammy's on one turnbuckle, Jay's on the other. He hops off, and then there is just this brief moment of Sammy standing behind Jay, who's still on the turnbuckle. You can see it on the camera. And you hear the crowd go, like there is an intake of breath
Because
because
a haluva kick.
another heel turn, right? And then Jay just hops off.
Mm-hmm.
And they look at each other and they hug. You're like, that's what I live for sometimes in wrestling. It's the little glances that I know in 3-6 months' time, that's going to be the start of a storyline.
It's the Hangman Page holding onto the ropes after the match with the tag match with Kenny.
My favourite one is Macho Man, just a little, what now? Why are you holding my wife? Hulk's like, hey, I'll put her down.
Hey, it's all right.
Okay.
Okay.
But then Jimmy, like, a really good way to diffuse that tension was, hey, and Jimmy Uso's come down now. They're all celebrating. And that's how the segment ended. I thought this was, I'm not into Jey Uso. I'm just not. But this was really well done.
Should have done the Rusev return here.
The Rusev return to go into a World Heavyweight Championship feud with Jay.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, it's, the only thing that this segment didn't really do is establish what is the next, challenger.
Immediate next
what's
challenger.
What's the immediate next challenger for Jay? Unless, of course, it's Sammy, which is, quite an obvious choice to go with, but a good choice to go with, and more terrifyingly, Jimmy. Because I don't think anyone could look at that WrestleMania 40 match and be like, now, this should be a world title program. But if you re-debuted Rusev here, and he came in and just decimated all three of them and locked the accolade in, it establishes him as feeling like a really big deal, more than just doing it to Otis.
Yeah, you're totally right. We get a clip of Kathy Kelly interviewing Logan Paul after Mania. Don't really know what he said.
No, this was pretty pants.
And then it's Jackie with AJ Styles right now backstage. And he talks about wanting to move on from the Logan Paul feud. And that's when Karrion Kross storms in and says, no, you shouldn't have done that. You should have taken the brass knucks. And AJ says, look, that's old me. I don't want to be a cheater anymore. If you want to be angry, don't take me down with you. And Karrion's like, oh, I will.
Yeah.
So this is off the back of Karrion Kross cutting a promo, a work shoot promo on the post-Mania podcast with Sam Roberts. And if you haven't seen it, it's about 3 minutes long. It's excellent.
So good.
And he really blurs the lines of fiction and reality. He's talking a lot about his frustrations with not getting more pushes on screen because he's doing everything. He's being the good soldier.
Which was advice given to him by Goldberg.
But then he weaves it in with and that's why AJ should have used the brass knucks to win this kayfabe wrestling contest.
I didn't ask for the match with Randy at WrestleMania. I'm happy for Joe, but all the work that I've done, I'm not getting on this WrestleMania card either. And what's being a good soldier done for me? It got me released.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I was a good soldier. What has it got me? Absolutely nothing. It was this incredible promo, and he ends it by saying, and this is a message for you. This is a message for, the guy in the suit in the production truck. Go F yourself. It's from Killer Kross. And he storms off. And I think it was so awesome. And clearly, a lot of people have seen it and talked about it online because he got an amazing reaction on this show. Got a great reaction on SmackDown as well when he was in the Battle Royal and got, very much, the crowd was booed when he got eliminated. But I don't feel that this is actually tying into that. Because that really was I'm now Killer Kross. But on this show, he was still Karrion Kross. And then he come back to Michael Cole, who was he made some very choice comments on a podcast that we condemn and we do not agree with as WWE. They just sort of instantly moved on. It honestly has felt like a non-canon event.
I don't know. I feel like something's building for Kross. I think Triple H obviously really likes him. I think he's got a lot of fans backstage. I mean, maybe this is more hope than anything. I hope he gets an actual proper, meaty, substantial storyline and a bit of a push coming out of this.
And I think he will. And I'm not saying that it's going to have no effect. But I think this segment would have happened even if he hadn't done the shoot promo.
Yeah.
And it would have played out the exact same thing. Because he's been part of this story for a while with AJ Styles. So he was always going to go into another feud with AJ Styles. But what I mean by is I feel like the promo itself is not part of this storyline.
Oh, yeah.
It was just and it's such an awesome promo. I really do implore people to go out and check it out. I really think it was a missed opportunity to not do more about it, considering it was creating such a buzz.
Yeah. Well, they did better blend work and shoot on this actual episode was they come back from break and Gunther is just yelling at Michael Cole at ringside. So just over the commentary desk. And Michael Cole, probably unwisely, says, "Hey, it's not me that tapped out."
Oh, Michael Cole.
What a dick thing to say. And Gunther goes to choke Cole. McAfee tries to shove him off. Gunther shoves him. He grabs Cole again. He's going to choke him. But Pat McAfee saves him. And Gunther just puts the sleeper on Pat McAfee and makes him, well, not really pass out. Pat never passed out. But loads of officials are there. Pat McAfee's podcast guys who are in the front row, they've hopped the barricade. I thought this felt so real in a wrestling context, especially because the commentary guys weren't doing commentary because they were trying to stop this thing from happening or actually being involved in it happening.
Yeah, I can't believe they turned Gunther babyface. But in all seriousness, where was this during the world title reign? Where's this guy been while he was world champion?
I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened from last August through to last weekend. What the hell have they been doing with Gunther? Yeah. Because they know what to do. They knew what to do with the Intercontinental title run. They knew what to do with the tournament, the King of the Ring tournament. They know what to do the night after WrestleMania concludes.
He had one moment when he choked out Jimmy. That's it.
But the rest of the time, you give me subpar
self-doubting
third wheel Gunther.
Yeah.
Remember when they were going to turn him babyface for a couple of weeks?
Because he respected Finn Balor.
Yeah, and he was like, Ludwig Kaiser. Yeah, okay, that's a cool part of my act. You're not around anymore. They have just done, I don't know, because they like Gunther. Yet they have systematically taken everything away from him during that World Heavyweight Championship run. So thank God they're doing something here, and hopefully he can have a match against Pat McAfee at Backlash, and he can kill him.
Yeah.
And that's how you write out Pat to do College Game Day or whatever it is. I think that's close to September, actually.
Yeah, this felt like a very good reset point that Gunther sorely needed. It is just a shame that it's come now that he is no longer the world champion. I'd imagine this will actually write Gunther off TV for a bit. I don't think this will happen at Backlash because Michael Cole is, he's making an official complaint, more or less, really, to Adam Pearce. And I think this will allow Gunther to go away, go home and be a dad for a bit, and then he can come back later on this year, and maybe that's when they can do the Pat McAfee match to lead into him taking time off for the sports.
I feel like you need to capitalize on this angle sooner. Do the bullying of Michael Cole at ringside. I think Cole should get a match. I know I've seen him wrestle, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life.
Yep,
but,
one of the worst WrestleMania matches ever.
Hey, he goes backstage, and Pierce is like, "Take the rest of the night off, Cole. I think you've got a broken nose." And Michael Cole says, "I'm not going to let some bully stop me from doing my job." And he marches back down to the ring, and the crowd go wild for this guy,
chanting for Michael Cole. Like he became one of the most over baby faces of the promotion.
It was brilliant.
It was really good.
It really felt like that. Oh, you are the moral force of good, the moral voice of good. Sorry. For this whole company.
And he then basically went on a bit of a tear against management of Raw, being like, look, I'm a journalist. I'm supposed to be able to say my feelings about this. I can't have wrestlers attack me for voicing my opinions.
And Joe Tessitore on commentary, like he's filling in, he's trying to take Pat's place, but he's not prepared. His shirt's untucked. He hasn't got his tie on. I thought this... I always hold up the New Age Outlaws pushing Terry Funk and Mick Foley off the stage on Raw in the dump truck as like the coolest way to do a wrestling angle, a traditional wrestling angle, but then the follow-up in the broadcast makes it feel like, oh no, wait, this is actually real.
Yeah, and you guys went too far.
Yeah, and this felt like that, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought this was a exceptionally good angle, and credit to Pat McAfee, who I don't often have like a lot of glowing words for, sold it very well. Again, I think that
he should have done a stretcher job.
It's too hard for that.
I know there's it's a sleeper. You just sort of wake up afterwards. Yeah, but not if you've been asleep for a minute. I'm pretty sure that's brain damage territory.
I thought he did a fairly good job of this.
I would have preferred... He's standing up afterwards. I know he's going down on one knee, and it was... I would have preferred him to just like completely dead, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I thought they did a pretty good job of this. And I very much enjoyed this angle. I think Gunther goes away for a little bit.
After that, we got Dominic Mysterio in his first Intercontinental title defense against Penta. Penta just gets beat now, by the way. So,
well, also,
so not a big deal.
I mean, really, this was actually just a backdrop for more of the Michael Cole angle, because Michael Cole wasn't really talking about this match at all. He was just talking about what happened with Pat McAfee and asking for updates on Pat, who's now in the trainer's room. So Penta is not only just losing matches, he's also the least important thing in a match. But he's taking WWE by storm. I get told that every single time he's coming out for a match.
I love Dom as champion. It's going to be interesting to see how they make this title reign good, because, you know, he's never been presented as really credible in the ring. Finn tried to interfere. It sort of backfired, and it took a returning JD McDonough to crutch Penta on the top rope for Dom to get his win. Mm-hmm. And he retained. Yeah. And then we got an El Grande Americano video package, and then the main event angle. And that's the show. Yeah. Really, one of the best Raw After Manias. God, I don't know how long.
It's been years and years and years and years and years since we've had a Raw After Mania that has felt this exciting. This was, you know, they talk about in AEW, like the restore the feeling thing, which they kind of hammered home a little bit too much last year. This is a restore the feeling show of, hey, do you remember when we used to be really excited about Raw After Manias? Like, we used to do live reactions to them, and then we stopped doing them because WWE stopped trying. So, and there's one of those times where I was like, I kind of wish I had done live react. I wish I had stayed up to watch this show, because it was really, really exciting. And now when you come to next year, people will be like, hey, do you remember how awesome it was last year? Also, I think WWE needed this little shot in the arm, because there was kind of a lot of downbeat feelings about WrestleMania. And all of a sudden, it's almost like that the downbeat feelings never happen, because everyone's just back and excited about this product again.
I'd add, I'm way more excited for SmackDown as well.
Yeah, good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right, before we get into our remaining chat gables, so last call for those, let's say a big thank you to our wonderful PledgeHammers on Patreon, patreon.com/WrestleTalk, like Ross Pooper Scooper Cooper,
Rue the Day, Rari Ubrian Kelly,
the man with the scoops, Sean,
Hear Me Roar, Sirutu Lion,
the torrential tribute, Spencer Vaughan Hagen,
the Pharaoh, Stephen Mazzaferro,
the incredible Tarzo,
the People's Broker, Ash Ajaz,
keep rolling, the Rick Peck,
Commentator of the Century, Vince Phillips,
He Clashed at the Castle, William Wallace,
and lastly for this Hall of Fame class on Tuesday, the 22nd of April, Willie Biggie Singleton. Just before we go into the UltraChats, just very quickly, you know, we had that one yesterday that was like, could you imagine if the main event of WrestleMania 17 had The Rock and Austin, and then Busta Rhymes came down and interfered in the main event? And we thought that was quite funny, but it hit me as I was going home yesterday. Oh no, the actual apt comparison is if Fred Durst came down.
Yeah.
Because they did the theme song for... could you imagine if Fred Durst came down to interfere?
I can. I weirdly can. We've got to speed through these chats. We've got a load, and I've got to go very shortly. But ESPN have just confirmed that The Rock will be on the Pat McAfee show today.
Oh, he can show up for things.
Interesting.
I bet you he'll show up to be like, it was planned all along.
Geek of Arabia writes, this is a long one. It feels like they've live chatted them watching Raw. So here's just a bunch of thoughts. I had a real-time realization that Becky was going to turn on Lyra as I was trying to logic out the point of removing Bayley from Mania, adding Becky, winning the titles only to lose them back the next night. Control-C, Control-V, Jade Naomi, but over a weekend.
Yep, that's what I said on Sunday. I was on Monday yesterday, in fact.
I stopped what I was doing when they turned the lights out for the return of Rusev. Turns out, it was Rusev Day. Io versus Vaquer was a superb match, marred only by the finish, but it made sense. I don't know about that. Sammy's back. With KO out, it makes sense for him to return now. Jay's celebration dragged a good while, but I'm letting it slide because he deserves it. Carrion versus Logan feud, maybe. Could be interesting. Cross would be the de facto face, surely. Gunther choking out Cole and Pat was not on my bingo card. Holy hell. Penta versus Dom was great. The crowd was fully split between them in the best way. Penta will get his IC title eventually, but Dom winning it at WrestleMania was absolutely the correct decision, and we're seeing the results of that here. Begging the question, what to do with the Judgment Day? With JD returning instead of imploding, the group is semi-organically turning into a babyface faction. Finn's the only one unhappy, and I don't think he can implode the group on his own anymore, so cut him loose. This has been a great show. Makes me feel much better about Night 2 falling flat at the end. Maybe we should, as the kids say these days, let Triple H cook?
Nope. Let's not go down this rabbit hole.
Good time. No alcohol required.
we shouldn't just forgive bad booking because they then did a good show the next day.
Yeah, that screams. No, it's a good relationship to be in. He bought me flowers. Big O. Look, I know he created the group, but WWE really needs to stop edging the fans with this Judgment Day Finn Balor split. Also, he didn't create the group, Edge did.
Yeah, Edge did. Finn Balor joined it. It wasn't even one of the first people to join it. It was Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Gunther for making it so I didn't have to listen to Pat McAfee's commentary for the last half hour. Yeah. Beansy. So after what happened on Sunday, I really need somebody to make a parody version of Where Is the Love by the Black Eyed Peas, but with The Rock instead of love. Keep up the great work, guys. Jam that jam. #, Where Is the Rock? Christopher Hines. Hi, gents. I really enjoyed Raw. The RKO to Cena got me hyped, but then I remembered we're going to have to watch Cena versus Orton in 2025, and that made me sad. Also, shout out to the crowd for doing Booker T's ad-lib spot during the Vaquer's head scissor face plants.
I hate that might be getting over. Because
what
Booker T, when he does it, he goes, with each one. He is the worst commentator in all of professional wrestling, and I might even go as far to say he's the worst commentator of all time.
Wow.
He is awful. I had to watch parts of NXT Stand and Deliver on mute because Booker T, I was like, I can't. He is just dreadful.
The Mayor of Painesville, Dan. Hello, Luke. Hello, Ollie. Hope you are doing well. Being there live was awesome. I started the Fight Forever chant for Sky Vaquer. Oh, sorry. That didn't really catch on. and the finish happened immediately afterwards. To me, Vaquer is the next big thing. International fans are much more enthusiastic, though. Find your passion, USA. Mike Elrath. Really enjoyed this Ram. I'm honestly all for Sammy being Jay's first challenger for the belt. Could make for a great match. The only thing that irked me was Gunther choking McAfee. They better not be teasing Gunther versus Pat at Backlash.
They will do Gunther versus... They have to at this point, right?
I think Gunther versus Goldberg. That's what we're building to. Psychic Stash. The only way for the El Grande Americano story to end is for the other luchadors to travel to the deepest, darkest parts of South America to bring back the only one who will stop El Grande Americano, El Generico.
I hate to be this guy. I think I've said this on shows previously. The El Generico gimmick was 10 plus years ago.
Oh, longer than that.
Yeah, I think it's time we moved on. I don't think we're getting El Generico in WWE.
Unless there's some kind of gimmick battle royal in the future. Throw away Jay what? For the first time I watched a WWE Big for the first time I watched WWE Big Show. The first time I watched WWE, Big Show was on his knees begging for his job. I stayed for a few years after that, but fell away in 2015-16, got back in around Punk's return, and just wanted to thank you both for the laughs and filling in the gaps.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kazoo, heel Cena and face Orton in 2025, heel Becky, potential Sammy heel turn, Rusev's return, Io versus Stephanie, Gunther killing commentators, Dom taking over Judgment Day, and a new dangerous alliance with Bron Breakker. Talk about a return to form. Some guy. After that main event match, I have no interest in seeing a long Cena title reign. It's not going to happen. But Orton wins at Backlash, or at the longest, Punk at Money in the Bank. Cody can get his win back, no title at SummerSlam, and we can finish with face Cena.
I think Cena's holding this belt until the end.
Especially the way he set up the ticking time bomb.
Yeah, I think it would actually be disappointing now. Despite the fact that we're going to be getting some really bad main event matches for the rest of the year, they've set up such a good ticking time bomb gimmick.
The brilliantly named Beef Stump. Exactly the Raw WWE needed. Crazy how good Triple H can be when he doesn't have to accommodate Dwayne. Jonathan Cantres, what's going on, lads? See what happens when Dwayne doesn't butt in creative? You get a great show. I enjoy the beginning of this new Dangerous Alliance, and I think it will only be bigger with Becky and even a debuting Jeff Cobb as well.
Yeah.
Well, Triple H does have his drawbacks as well, which means he books too long.
Or sometimes too short. Becky in case of point.
Oh, my things just tried to...
Akiko Sanada here said, guys, this show ruled. I only got to tune in for the last hour, but wow, Bron Breakker joining Seth and Heyman is absolutely awesome. And finally, the IC title is being used to elevate people again. Dirty Dom for World Champ. Oh, and I know the match won't be great, but imagine the heat when Cena cheats Orton in St. Louis. Absolute theatrical goodness.
Yeah, Cena wins, LOL.
Italian Josh here said, "Hi lads, I think Randy is a smart choice. People right now are too attached to Cena because he's leaving, so you need someone fans will not boo. Also, Cole in a backstage story segment was not on my 2025 bingo card. Plus, put Maxine on the mic more often. Wow, lots of love."
She was good, actually, yeah.
She was. Cyber Commander, what do you guys think of the idea that Judgment Day has become a group of heels that people can be put in and taken out to always have a top heel faction that generates new stories? It's the only reason I have for them still existing. The problem is that I don't think they've ever generated a new story. They've just done the same. They've done the same story for 4 years. Charles Berg, okay, hear me out. Rusev Day.
Is this because of the New Day segment and Rusev joins them?
And their tagline is now, "Thank God for the New Day." So who better than God's favorite champion? Night Lord Jargon here said, 3 straight days of podcast. Thank you, WrestleTalk, for your Mania coverage and get some well-needed rest after these eventful days. Jam that jam. That's for Raw last night. Do you think it should have been Rusev and Aleister Black that joined Rollins to instantly shoot them into the main event picture? They were both already well-known and figured it would work, but I'm glad it was Bron regardless.
I love Rusev. I love Aleister Black. They are, to an extent, yesterday's news. And Bron is a really exciting current star on the rise.
Yeah. Corey here said, "Hi guys, staying up until midnight here in Australia to watch you guys live. I had a thought regarding Cena's countdown that he beats his final opponents on his last day before he leaves, and then we have the Money in the Bank cash-in Breaker maybe."
Oh, interesting.
You know what? I really like that because most people are going to be expecting that win. I mean, people might figure the Money in the Bank thing, I suppose, but it's kind of like when Punk was signing with WWE. And then he wins the Ring of Honor championship.
Yeah. And
he signs his WWE contract on the Ring of Honor title and stuff. People went into that show not expecting Punk to win the belt. And then he did.
And then you can also get a sort of hardcore title, 24/7 title rules, final few weeks of John being really scared he's going to get cashed in on at any moment.
Badger Sprite said, "I'm convinced they're setting up Drew versus Punk
A Drew versus Punk-esque Becky versus Bayley feud.
Where Bayley represents Becky Hogan, bumping her off Mania because Becky's the big star and Bayley is the good soldier. Bayley is playing up in interviews that she may leave WWE. Well, according to Fightful Select, she signed a new deal early last year. German Girls Are Cool says, "Luke, Ollie, this Raw is awesome. Trips planting a seed this early when Heyman mentioned till WrestleMania 42. New Day is now badass too. Rusev is reigning terror. See you guys. Heyman is making a faction. Don Callis 2.0. Let's go. Rock F off. Don't interfere."
No, just interfere occasionally. And if you do, show up.
Yeah, and also Heyman has had a faction long before Don Callis was the Jackal. Not John Cena. Hey guys, what about are we about to get the inverse of Randy DQing himself to retain against John Cena since John can't wrestle? Also, the meat division with Rusev, Sheamus, Drew, Cobb, Strowman, Bronson, Gunther is going to be crazy. Kevin here says, "Luke, I'm so happy I won't have to hear this Travis song, Scott. WWE, have you heard of video packages?" Well, have you heard of the right button? Skip. I never saw Finn smile that much during Dom's entrance since Vince had the book and told him to smile a lot. Can't wait for 25 minutes of Cena versus Orton. The funniest thing on this show was security preventing Pat McAfee's crew from interfering to help Pat while not doing anything to stop Gunther choking Pat out. Worst security ever. But we can all agree that a babyface move for Gunther. Overall, despite the lack of in-ring action, it was a very fun show and a very needed Raw after Mania. Sami Zayn's turn was nerve-wracking. The main event segment was perfect. Best Ram in a while. Also, excellent video package for Jey Uso. # Team Bottom.
Team Bottom.
Lodge Bomb here said, "Ram always reminds me of the Dolph Ziggler cash-in. He's been my guy since I was 8. I'm almost 19 now. How do you think a 2-night WrestleMania would affect the PG era, mainly for guys like Dolph and Ryder who were always barely off the card, and Punk would have been Mr. Night 1 main event?" I mean, Dolph and Ryder still would have been off the card. Francisco Christopher, we got
they would have been in the sponsored, the branded content match.
Yeah, or about the backstage segments. Francisco Christopher, we got Seth, Bron, and we get someone like Trick Williams.
That could be good as well.
Burly Rob Burwell. Nathan Frazier makes total sense as he was purposely signed to WWE instead of AEW because of Seth. Seth has trained him at his school too. I would love to see heel Frazier in the group. As long as you do it on TV, because you can't just have it be like, "Oh, well, of course, yeah, because he trained." You need to have like an actual storyline reason on TV for it to add up. But
Also splits up Fraxium.
which we don't want to do. Geordie bus driver Harry. This is one of the best nights of Raw I've seen in a long time. It got me really excited for what's to come this year. Only thing that needs to earn my trust is Cena and Orton. Everything else I'm excited for. Holy moly, says Amazing Ram. Very entertaining. Strangely enough, if Seth is Triple H, Bron is Batista, I could see Sol Rooker playing the Randy role. She's full of potential and has the demeanor that reminds me of a Randy Orton and should try a different style in ring.
I don't know. I think I don't look at Sol Rooker and think Randy Orton.
Well, she has got like a cutter finish.
Yeah, but it's
With more
really
of a flip.
exciting.
Yeah, she takes bumps. She's not like Randy Orton at all. Hebsy said, I wish MJF was available to join Heyman and Rollins. By the way, this is the Wise Man faction that Ollie's been talking about.
The Wise Guys.
EO's Guy. Hey guys, I've got to say, WWE finally pulled off an all-time great Raw after Mania. Nothing says WWE like capitalizing on organic movement incredibly late. Raw was WrestleMania Night 3. Say it with me.
No.
Absolute cinema. Gantar said, this Rams reboot was much needed, but didn't take away the bad taste in my mouth that WrestleMania left. Horrendous commentary, too many adverts, inconsistent mid-card storytelling. Hashtag, please leave Pat in the Cone Zone. Cheers, guys. Jam that jam.
The Cone Zone.
Mario Q. Fantasy booking. Reigns goes after Jay's world title out of jealousy and wins it. Triple H thinks this will elevate the title. Jay joins Rollins Heyman's faction, and Reigns and Rollins feud for the title all year. Leads to Rock and Reigns at WrestleMania 42.
But that would make Reigns a heel. And then Rollins would still be a heel.
Well,
Jay would be a baby face.
Well, no, if Jay joins the faction, he would turn heel. So Reigns would be...
Reigns is only going after Jay's world title out of jealousy.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't work for me.
Darren Knight said, so I know you said Cody to beat Cena. Does he do that as a Money in the Bank winner, or does Money in the Bank winner cash in on Cena's last date? Or do they cash in on the world title?
I think they'll get rid of the men's briefcase immediately, so it isn't a factor in the Cena story.
I think they'll do it on Jay. I think a heel wins it and cashes in on Jay. Your favorite manga. Want to big up Killer Cross's promo on the Sam podcast. Yes, it's a work, but love the passion that he showed. Regarding the Becky heel turn, what if the people keep cheering her like what happened a couple of years back when she turned heel? That backfired badly.
That was different, though. That was a different time where they wanted her to be a babyface. I don't think we know what we want from Becky yet. I think we just wanted to do a good story.
I agree. Maddie Ruck here said, this has to be the best Raw after Mania since 34. So glad they're making an effort to make these shows mean something again. I don't think Becky should join the group. Struck between Ethan Page, Carmelo, or even Elia. Let's hope SmackDown is as great. I think it will be. We're going to get the Aleister Black return at the very least. Becky turning on Lyra will do absolute wonders for the IC belt. With Becky now going for the title, it feels huge. Add in Bayley down the road and it will feel big time. Far better than Ivy, Nile, Raquel, and even though I love her, Dakota. The title needs stars. Lawrence Ian, 2004, says, with Cody presumably having a break, it's time to make Io the ace of the promotion. She is genuinely better than everyone right now. And some more names that could work in this dangerous alliance: Jordan Grace, Jacob Fatu, Andrade, Bianca, Rhea, and Ilya.
I don't see Ilya in that mix. I think be careful of just putting all your favorites in one faction.
Agreed. Yeah, it needs to have a dynamic that works as opposed to just being like, he's cool, put him in the group. But yeah, and I actually agree. I think Io is better than pretty much everyone on that roster right now. Texas Goose, I'm with Ollie. Cena walking away with the belt equals Cena losing at WrestleMania 39.
Cody losing at WrestleMania.
Sorry, yeah, Cody losing at Mania 39. Cena's final night. It's a last chance gauntlet. Top faces Avengers Steel team up. Tensions rise as each one falls. Cena wins, and the final shot is Cena smiling as the counter hits 0. But then, okay, here is why I don't like it, and here's why I push back on it. Whoever is the champion after that is going to feel lesser than. Yeah. Because it is going to be like Cena.
That's a 2026 problem.
That we just have a naff WWE champion now. This paper champion that's not an actual proper world champion.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to do the next episode. But I think it's a great episode.
You are The Rock. And it was the plan all along. Connell EKM, with limited dates, Cena should threaten to take the summer off Money in the Bank. It's almost 2 months then until SummerSlam. Evolution is the pay-per-view in between. That gives Punk some urgency to beat him at Money in the Bank, but Cena wins and exits through the barricade. Yes.
Blows the kiss.
Micah Pellegrini, in all honesty, watched both nights of Mania last night. Didn't take long, lots of skips. The finish of the main event felt flat to me because last year set up the expectation that Cody has friends to help, but where were they? Big fan of Ollie, though. Go Ollie.
Oh. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I should have shown up for Cody.
Marty El Chadador, I now need a break from wrestling after this awful Mania main event and having boring Cena as champion again. Also, there are too many sponsors / ads in every show. It affects the products. What do you guys think? See you in a couple of months. Thanks for your content.
Oh, well, you can still watch us.
Yeah, we'll keep you up to date.
Yeah, there's way too many sponsors and ads in the show in a way that encroaches on the creative. But I enjoyed Ram, and I enjoyed a lot of WrestleMania. So don't give up just yet. See how it plays out in the next couple of weeks.
Phil Scully said, I have a chronic illness that leaves me stuck at home a lot. You guys and the channels have been a big part of keeping me entertained and distracted from the pain. Thanks for the continued fun. Also excited to see the summer of Dirty Dom. Well, best of luck to you, Phil. I hope you feel better, and we're glad that we can find some way to bring you some joy. And lastly here, Scott W says, just got back from WWE and working on a killer wrestling interview in the next week for my first WrestleMania. Love you guys. Be kind to each other.
Lovely. What a way to finish.
Yes, absolutely love
Let's
it.
see the poll.
Let's end this poll and see what you thought of the show. And it was 83% thumbs up, 14 in the middle.
That is high. Well, thank you very much. Please go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to get even more videos if you've not had enough from this weekend from us. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. It's been Luke going DAD. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam.